Hi, and welcome to Adelaide Eternal's 7-minute 7-point Highlander. My name is Angus Mackay. I'm guest starring actually from CBR MTG. I'm here to show you my reanimation deck. Now, this is Grixis Reanimator of the Highlander variety. Now, hopefully you all know about Australian 7-point Highlander, but this deck, I've been playing with it for quite some time, and I think it's starting to look pretty good, so I'd like to show it off. Now, for anyone who doesn't know what a Reanimator deck does, it's very simple. We put cards in the graveyard using Entomb, a 1-mana instant that says search my library for a card and put that card into the graveyard and shuffle my library. Or filtering cards like Bazaar of Baghdad, which lets me draw 2 cards then discard 3 cards. And other filtering effects like Faithless Looting and Careful Study. And then just simply bring them back out of the bin with cards like the namesake of the deck, Reanimate, a 1-mana sorcery that return target creature card from the graveyard to the battlefield under my control. I lose life equal to its converted mana cost. And cards like Exhume, Dance of the Dead, Animate Dead, Life and Death, and Stitch Together. Now, all these cards do one thing, and that's put a creature card from the graveyard onto the battlefield. And this deck is kind of tuned in such a way where you want to be doing it multiple times throughout the game, and you want to be reanimating one of these big boys. Now we have a few big cards, and I've been tuning this for quite some time, so I'm pretty happy with the creature package that we've gone with. Some cards that have hung around for the longest have been Jin-Gitaxias Core Augur, which is a 5/4 that lets me draw 7 cards at the beginning of my end step, and then my opponent's maximum hand size is reduced by 7. This is like hugely important for if you can get it out really quickly, because if they don't have an answer to it, it wins the game by itself. You just even knowing that it will die that turn, like just drawing 7 cards can be like hugely beneficial for your game plan, especially when you're running a deck that's kind of balls to the wall like this deck is. You've also got quasi removal in reanimating cards like Elesh, Norn, Grand Cenobite, giving all their creatures -2/-2, and Ashen Rider, which when it enters the battlefield or it dies, I can exile target permanent. Now, having a 5/5 with flying is very good, but using it just for its exile ability is pretty much the only reason why it's in the deck. Sometimes I get to bash face, but more often than not, I'm trying to get cards like Gristlebrand or Inkwell Leviathan, which is really good in the meta that we're in right now, where it's a lot of control. Just having Island Walk and Shroud is just such a huge benefit. Now, if reanimation fails, I do have the Sneak and Attack Show and Tell package, and you have that sort of in your back pocket if anything goes awry, but you're essentially just using this whole 15 cards, including Dack Fayden and your 3 best cantrips, Brainstorm, Ponder, and Preordain, to just dig through your deck and find the pieces that you need. We've got, in regards to the points, I've gone for trying to sort of cast a wide net, but for the main part, the points sit in Vampiric Tutor. Now, there's been a kind of bit of a discussion in my playgroup about whether or not Vampiric Tutor or Demonic Tutor is better. Demonic Tutor being the one and black sorcery, search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, shuffle your library. Vampiric Tutor is slightly different because it's a 1-mana instant, and instead of putting it in my hand, I put it on top of my library. Now this is like particularly relevant for Thoughtseize based disruption and stuff that will just, like, if you get mind twisted, which is like pretty popular, you can put a card, the card of your choice, on top of your library, and I found that it helps me so much more than a Demonic Tutor ever could. So we've got Vampiric Tutor, which is 3 points, Lim-Dûl's Vault, which is probably the worst tutor, but it still managed to find a place in my deck. I've never not liked having it, so it's been fine. It's a pretty complicated card, so I'll just go through it quickly. It's look at the top 5 cards of your library, and then as many times as you can choose, you can pay 1 life, put those cards on the bottom of your library, and then you look at the next 5. So you look at 5, and if you don't like it, put it away. Take 1 life, look at the next 5, and then just keep doing that until you get 5 that you need. Now, the bad thing about this is it doesn't quite draw you a card, which is relevant, but look, here we are. You kind of pair it with a bit of Dack Fayden or some Brainstorming, and then you're well on your way. Now, we've got some fast mana with Dark Ritual, Chrome Mox, and Lotus Petal, and some disruption with Unmasked Thoughtseize, Collective Brutality. But you'll find that these cards also serve, besides Mental Misstep, these 3 cards share a same purpose, which is I can also target myself, or I can also put stuff in my bin with these cards. So that's why they're in that deck. Now, I've hidden a little combo in here. Now, this is a recent addition for my deck, and this is the World Gorger Dragon combo. Now, I've put this in because sometimes it's just nice to have a win button. If your opponent is just trying to go as fast as possible, if you're versing Storm or something like that, you just go through and you can just World Gorger them out. So you'll have to look up the World Gorger Dragon combo when you can, because it is a very, very fun combo. In regards to my sideboard, I have, considering Control seems to be one of my worst matchups, I've devoted a few cards to that. Duress, Pyroblast, and Defense Grid for obvious reasons. Quicksilver Amulet mainly for the reason that it's as long as I have it on the battlefield, I can just keep pushing cards out from my hand. I haven't seen this work completely, but it's still good in theory, so I'm going to continue to test it. We've got some combo hate with Mindbreak Trap and Shred Memory, some artifact-based hate with Bifrost and Null Rod, and then these 3 cards that I basically put in every single time, which is Echoing Truth, Chaos Warp, and Into the Royal. Now, this is just to protect yourself against Grafdigger's Cage, Relic of Progenitus, and Rest in Peace, and those sorts of cards. So I kind of always bring them in unless I know that they're not bringing in permanent-based removal. For creatures, your creature matchup is actually pretty good. So I've devoted 2 cards to it just because sometimes you can get blown out by Deathrite Shaman or Scavenging Ooze. So it's good to just have something in there to protect yourself. So I've opted for Firestorm and Toxic Deluge. Now I've got 2 last creatures just to fill it out. If you need to take out the World Gorger Dragon combo, you can put these cards back in to even it out. Void Winnower, particularly good against combo and control, where a lot of counter spells and a lot of good cards like Channel are all even mana costs. So you just put this down and then you have a very tough time beating that. And then you've got Terracodon as well for sort of trouble permanence. Now that's all I have time for. I had to squeeze it in as fast as I could to get it in 7 minutes, but I hope you enjoyed my deck, and please let me know if there's anything that you'd like to add. Thanks.